I threw myself to television.
Oh, look, it timed out with him telling.
And welcome to another episode of How Did You Get There? A show about thoughts, ideas, opinions, and beliefs. So that we can be critical of those thoughts, opinions, ideas, and beliefs, but not necessarily those who hold them.
Especially today.
Yeah.
We're not so critical today.
Well, we're going to be a little bit critical. Critical thinking, we believe, is very important. And we will say things. We will put forth opinions on this show, and they are our opinions. They are not necessarily the opinions of Jess FM, or any of its affiliates, its unaffiliates, and its friends and neighbors.
Yeah. They might fall in line, but they aren't responsible for our opinions.
Yeah. Well...
They might have similar ideas.
Our opinions may have been influenced by some of these people.
That's true. Ooh, well done. Yes, there's people out there that influence my opinion.
Yep.
Always.
And moving forward. So today,
without going into rigorous psychology of the theory of game or game theory, we thought it would be more fun for us to not talk about all of the evils that we perceive in the world today.
We're not being dismissive of those things.
They really exist.
They get talked about all the time by a lot of people. And this week, we just needed a break.
But we still want to engage our brains.
Yeah, so...
We love the dopamine that happens on our show.
Man.
It's a little addictive. It's like gambling for me, but better. Because I don't really love gambling. It's not that I love the gamble, it's that I think I can outwit the house.
I am so much smarter than those dice.
Yes, always, every time. And that's...
I mean, it's true.
I thought that was a good tie-in for us today. We want to make a game. I think we're absolutely prepared from the number of years we've been playing games. Not a yacht. Wow!
Oh.
Ah!
Queens over Jacks in 3.
In 3.
Yeah, so we've played games our whole lives.
I think, all of my memorable life.
Most humans play games of some sort all the time.
But we're talking more of the recreational...
Yeah,
we're not so concerned with structure, because those are the young person's games. You just invent, like, lava or whatever. That's just a thing that...
My friends are lava. It's like the floor is lava, but you're not supposed to step on your friends, so that works out okay.
I guess the same reason I shouldn't lick the floor, I ought not lick my friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or my friends' floors.
But you can't wipe your friends on the couch.
You
ought not to wipe
I ought not to wipe my friends on the couch. So we also, let's see, in terms of games, though, I would consider pretty much anything that has, like, a target, destination for its outcome. Like,
a goal.
I am playing a game of tag. My goal is to either tag someone or not get tagged by the someone. It's not a lot of rules involved. And in fact, it's such a big, busy game, we've made variants of that game.
We've added rules just because reasons.
Well, because we get older and smarter and we wish to challenge ourselves harder.
Like, you can't tag your butcher.
Correct. The person that tagged you cannot be tagged right back. Because that just stops this action. Yeah. As fun as that can be, that's not fruitful for anyone else that wants to play.
Yeah.
So that should be a thing for our game. It needs to be... I think it could go solo all the way up. Like, it could be a solitaire. And I don't know what a reasonable number is before we need extensive or expensive supplies if supplies are needed.
I have a game at home that plays arbitrarily up to 100 people.
I mean, time might be a factor, but that would be it, though.
You put a gymnasium full of elementary school kids, and they could play Werewolf.
Yes. I've played Werewolf.
Yeah.
Like the village of werewolves with their...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's arbitrary. An arbitrarily large number of people can play this game.
True enough.
Right.
It's best played with actors. Or people that aren't shy.
Yeah. Or people who are learning to not be shy.
That's an excellent way to not be shy. Because Yeah.
I mean, there is a game. There are several games that I play that are seemingly arbitrary, but very group building, like very loose group building.
Like.
So one of them is, I lost the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Yeah, if you've never played this game, the rules of the game are very simple. You can't really win this game. You can only lose the game, and you lose the game if you ever think about the game.
This is where, at one point, I retired by not thinking about it, and thus retained my championship status. And anyone that thinks that I've not done that is thinking about the game and thus has lost. And I continue to maintain champion status.
But every time you think about not thinking about, every time
But
you
I
think
already
about quitting
retired.
the game,
I've already
yeah.
retired.
Yeah, so the
Well,
other
I wasn't thinking about it.
the other game that I play is Buffalo.
Ooh.
And surprisingly, it does not involve any shuffling off.
Oh.
It does involve drinking.
Oh.
So I believe this started in fraternity houses, predominantly in the United States. I believe it's very popular in university culture. And if you are a member of the Buffalo Club,
Ack-ack-a-dack. Oh, no, sorry. That
That's
is
the
water
water
buffalo.
buffaloes.
Yeah.
ack, ack, a dack,
See?
dack, dack, a ack.
Like, Buffalo Club probably predates the Buffalo Club.
Yeah, so if you're a member of the Buffalo Club, you only ever drink your alcoholic beverages with your non-dominant hand.
Okay.
If ever a member of the Buffalo Club catches you drinking with your dominant hand, they shout Buffalo, and you are required by the honor of the game
Mm-hmm.
to finish consuming said beverage
Mm.
immediately.
Mm-hmm. So like a very narrow scope version of...
Zoom Schwartz Perfegliano?
Yeah, or the flippy card make rules game.
Yeah. And really
Sociables. There we go.
There-
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah. And there aren't a lot of rules. I mean, that's really the rule.
That's what I mean. So it's like the very narrow focus sociables, because you just add a weird rule that requires you to get more drunk.
Yeah, and I was in a pub in Edinburgh, and I was sitting there drinking my beer with my non-dominant hand, as I have learned to do.
As you have
It's my
become-
dominant drinking hand, but it's not my dominant hand.
Ooh.
I know. I've thought about this too.
Yeah.
There are some variant clubs that on
Oh, it depends on the day. Is the hand?
Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays it's right hand drinking. On Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays.
That would be better.
And you have to keep track of the day as well. That's not the club that I belong to. But,
No.
But there I was, and I heard a couple of university-age student-type people with obviously obvious to my ear, American accents.
Point of order. You're attending a university.
I'm attending university.
You are then university aged.
I am not obviously university.
Oh, okay. Sorry, just wondered what. So in their 20s is what you're.
I'm going to say roughly in their 20s.
Early 20s.
And they
perhaps.
were talking about being on vacation in the summer from their university.
Oh, and you watched
And
them.
they seemed to me to be people who were possibly affiliated with a group like a fraternity. And I watched them drink their beer with their right hands, and they seemed to be very right-handed people. And they were taking a drink, and I just looked at them and I said, Buffalo! And they looked at me and went, oh, shit. Finished their, and I'd never met these people before.
That's a fun one.
And I called them out in a bar in another country, and they weren't expecting it. So for me, that's a fun game, but I have also been caught. So for me, that was a fun
on
game.
an international level. That is awesome. That is
Yeah.
awesome.
So games can be just about anything.
So that would be a good arena for the game, and that cuts down on supplies and cost.
Mhm.
It does definitely prohibit certain groups from certain belief systems from even playing if alcohol is the choice.
Oh yeah, I'll make you drink a hot mug of Postum.
Right? Or
100% I will.
or whatever the
Calf limb.
yerba mate or whatever, right? Yerba mate.
Yeah, yerba mate.
Yerba mate.
That sounds
I'm
like a
from here.
really
I say
bad Valentine's card.
I say words like Ukraine and Kiev and
I keep trying to say it, and Kiev.
I can't do it. No, there's no
It's-
V. There's no V in this word. That's your Romanized
Gets the
version
closest I can get.
of it. That's so, but there it is.
It's there,
I would rather.
but it's a different sound that I can't make.
Give you my Romanized version and then just eat that. That's just the way I pronounce it in my language,
Yeah.
and I feel ignorant, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, I will always.
I try not to butcher, but I do try. I really do. Like, yeah, Zelensky, because it's even Volodymyr, right? It's not even Vla, it's a Vola.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
So I try, right? I just feel like I'm almost worse. It's like, met a nice young lady from Hungary yesterday. Like, I got Akia first try, right?
Yep.
Got that. But I could not get Delma yesterday for the life of me. Like, like it took
Yep.
me 3 tries to get to Delma. And I got there.
and part of why we play games starts being young and making it fun ways to pick up skills. Like, why do we play darts?
Oh, yeah.
It's an extent, or any other. Why do we have run? Why the Olympics? Well, because running races is a way to train so that we can, not be dead.
We also weirdly as humans enjoy comparison. Like, am I faster than you? What's a way to find out? Who is the fastest? What's a way to find out?
But why do we care? I don't. That's a different. I don't
That's a
understand why we
curiosity.
care. That is
I think that's just the
that is
human
an
nature.
excellent PhD level question. Why do we care?
I don't think care is the right word.
I
Some people actually do.
I mean, no.
But I think by and large, there's just the inquisitive nature of humankind.
Yeah,
The same reason we
Why do we care?
explore.
I mean, colloquially,
Oh yeah, why does it matter?
like, not
kind of.
why is it near and dear to my heart? But
Yes, somewhere between recreational running and who's more quick, like a couple of kids, I'll race you to the end of the block,
yeah,
versus the professional athlete. There's a bit of a difference.
yeah, they're still racing to the end of the block
That right?
for the same goal.
They still want to be the fastest kid on the street.
Sure.
Right? Yeah.
And I'm super okay with that. So we actually have played word games, which are both vocabulary building and pattern building.
The minister's cat.
Is an angry cat,
Right? But
Who
that
ate
teaches you
artichokes.
like adjective, verb, adverb.
Yep. And you learn new words
And
from hearing other
noun.
people use words,
Yeah, yeah.
and there's a pattern to it.
That's something I've learned. Like the cadence of your speech is definitely learned from the culture you grow up in. And for fun, in my self-abuse times, I watch Angry Pastors, and you can kind of tell which branch they're from by the cadence they use.
Yep.
I think it's kind of Greg Locke right out the window for all of it. He is the distilled evil embodiment of every firebrand preacher you've ever thought of, only worse.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your child is your child does not have autism. Your child is demon possessed. He's one of those helpful people.
Oh, that sounds absolutely terrifying.
It really
Perfect.
is.
Thanks.
You don't have OCD. You've just given yourself over to the devil. No. These are legitimate psychological. Anyway. So,
Yeah.
So there are cadences to people's speech that you can identify, learn, play with.
Yeah.
But we have games. I mean, we're trying to avoid game theory, but the idea behind games, for sure, right? Like they give us real world skills that should be transferable.
Yeah.
I think one of those big skills is what happens if I don't win?
Oh, I know people who are poor losers.
Yes. So, but like if we make the losing of the game palatable,
Yeah.
then it might make people not as scared to lose. Much like
Here's your participation pin, Bailey.
not so much that, but rather than like full-on Japanese video game where like if you don't win you get a straight up you lose. It could be like try again,
Well, and
but it doesn't do that. Like I've played so much Mario and lose, like not even you lose, just lose. And so those I'm okay with. I think they're hysterical.
Well, it's fine.
Yeah,
Right? I mean, because you didn't win,
I lost.
You lost.
Yes, but I think, but all it did was make me want to try harder. I didn't feel bad about not winning.
you didn't flip the table, as it were.
No. I did not nuke the risk game because I didn't get the role I wanted.
I've seen people do that.
Well, that's what this is. So we gotta. I think the more we play games, the better we might adapt to not always winning.
Yeah.
Because the more games you play, the more likely you are to lose at least once.
Oh, and one of the things when I lose a game, I want to play again, and I want to play better
Yeah, well,
because I don't like losing.
further, that's why I would never cheat.
I love people who cheat at solitaire.
I know that's a thing. I know that's a thing. But
Who are you cheating?
like, way to win.
What did you win? What did you win? I mean, again, you're playing against a deck of cards, and I know it's frustrating that an inanimate deck of cards beats you.
I have zero sympathy on this occasion, right? Like I don't even like old guy that back grabs the peg and advances as they're counting, so that let me recount that, and they've gained 4. I don't love that even. But you're playing solitaire. Like, did you bet yourself? Like, is there
I win.
Is there cash on the line here? Like, if you lose, you've got to donate to charity, and that's just
I get
offensive?
dopamine by putting down that last card in the right place. Well, why don't you just get the cards out and just lay them down in
Just
piles?
just sort them red, black, and by number.
So
That's
one of the
so
things
funny.
I like about the winning versus losing is that's a goal, right? The goal of the game is to get more points than the other players, or
whatever the outcome that achieves victory.
right? But I also play.
In terms of the victory condition, yeah.
I also play a bunch of cooperative games where you are playing against the game.
Like Werewolf is a pretty good example.
Yeah, well, D&D is a
D&D's a really good example.
it's an excellent example of cooperative storytelling.
Yeah. Most of the campaigns that I have either participated in or led, like i.e. I was the dungeon master, could easily be screenplayed.
Mm-hmm.
If I knew dialogue, it would already be done.
Just record it.
Yeah, no, because those people be just as like plain as anybody else, and I realize that's natural speech, but it's not entertaining speech.
No, but from there you go.
I guess I can dial up the verbosity of it, right? Yeah, make it more active language as opposed to I don't know. You roll. I don't want to touch that. You go in there. But yeah.
But also-
then it allows me to incorporate someone else's character idea, right?
Yeah.
I'm
And the other game, the other style is us against the game. I play Pandemic. Lovely little board game. The notion is there are some diseases in the world. It came out before the pandemic.
But after other ones.
But after others, and it's a thing that we've been talking about for a while.
Yeah.
So there are 4 colors of cubes, and there's a deck of cards in a bunch of places in the world, and you start by dropping some cubes, and every time there's more than 3 cubes in a city, if you have to drop another cube on there, instead you put a cube in every attached city.
That's the spread.
That's the spread.
Once we have enough infection, it spreads.
Right.
Fair.
So you can go around, and there are different roles that each person gets, arbitrarily decided by randomized delivery of cards.
Mm-hmm.
The medic, when they go in and they treat in a city, they treat all the cubes of one color in that city, costs 1 move.
Cool.
Everybody else, they can treat 1 cube in a city.
Yeah.
Right? And then at the end of your turn, you get some new cards in your hand, and they represent cities, and they are of different colors. And once you have 5 of the same color of card, you would then go to a research station and cure that color of disease.
Ah, cool. Cool.
And then when the medic goes in, they just have to arrive in town, and it treats all the cubes, and then you get the previous medic's power.
To treat all that colored cube.
Yeah. And if eventually you manage to get rid of all the cubes of that color and it's cured, then even if it gets drawn again, it never comes back.
We've hit herd immunity.
You can smallpox that thing.
Yeah.
Right?
It might
you can
flare,
eradicate it.
Yes. Nice.
And you win the game by curing, you don't have to eradicate everything, but by curing all 4 diseases.
Cool.
And you lose if you run out of any color, any of the cubes of any color, like it just spreads too far, or you run out of cards.
Because you've taken too long.
'Cause
So
you've
there's
taken
no
too
further
long.
course of action. Got it?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Or you have too many outbreaks. Like if I have 3 here and 3 here, and it goes blurp and it goes blurp blurp too many times, you lose.
Yeah.
And there's
Because it goes beyond containment ability.
and in the cards that you
I
would
love the
draw,
representations.
there are also epidemic cards. So it's divided up fairly. You get one epidemic card in each of somewhere in each quarter of the deck. So you shuffle it into one quarter.
Yeah.
Shuffle it into one quarter. So it could be the first card, or it could be the last card in one quarter, and the first card in the next quarter.
Yeah.
So you draw
Back
the
to
card,
backs, yeah.
and what that does is you take a brand new city that's never been seen before, and you drop 3 cubes in it.
Nice.
Then you take all the cities you've seen before, shuffle them all together, and put them on top of the deck. So they're coming back right away. Right? And it's good. And we sometimes win and we sometimes don't. It was actually the last game we played as a game playing group
before the
lockdown in
That's
March of
hilarious.
2020.
That's hilarious.
And we won. And then the pandemic turned around and
it won.
it won.
For-
But it's
for
us.
now.
It's us against the board.
Yeah.
Right? And
I was thinking of the play I'm doing now is a bit of both. It's player versus player as well as the game itself. Doing a play called Clue.
Yep.
So there's a sleuth murder mystery going on inside of the game, and you're competing against your teammates, but the murder is the property of the game itself, right? So it's up to you to discover the clues that are available to everybody.
Yep.
So you have to beat everybody else to those clues, as well as figure out what those clues are telling you. And I think that's kind of a fun thing. Weird though, in the stage play, there's the extra characters so that each of the named characters can kill someone. So Mrs. White isn't the cook. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
In the stage play. I was very confused when Mrs. White was somebody else.
Well, Mrs. White isn't the cook in the movie either.
No. But it's the movie that was based on the stage play. So we're doing the stage play based on the movie that was based on the stage play.
It's based on the board game
Yes.
by Parker Brothers.
That's a line in the play.
Or Milton
secret-
Bradley?
Parker Brothers. It's a secret room. Really? A secret passageway? Who designed this place? The Parker Brothers.
Yeah.
Very good, right? There's a few of those.
Yeah. So, I mean, games are everywhere. They're super, it can be real simple,
Tic-tac-toe.
but not necessarily fun.
Tic-tac-toe.
Right?
Monopoly.
So games can teach us larger moral lessons, like Monopoly, which was specifically designed as a lesson against capitalism.
This is correct.
And if you've ever played Monopoly, you will know that if you're not leading early in the game, you are probably going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And it will take a long time, and it's very painful and grindy, but eventually
You'll be ground down.
you'll be ground down and you'll lose. And that's how capitalism,
From the point of view of the
from
game
the point of view of the game designer, that's how capitalism works.
and
Sometimes it's faster in real life.
yeah, and yeah. But and then other games that are many of the games, even like a Monopoly or Clue. There's the dice roll. There's the random factor that creates some sort of equal opportunity to the players.
Seemingly equal opportunity. That's great.
Regardless of their
Yeah.
total skill set, it is sort of like a force multiplier potentially, but it could also just be a game balancing tool.
Yeah.
Like, I might just be a rocket surgeon sleuth or whatever, and really good at figuring out from 3 clues exactly what happened in the game of Clue. Like, I've asked 3 people something, and I already know it's a plum in the conservatory with the revolver. So
But I have to get there, and I have to put the thing there, and I can only move on a dice roll, and I may or may not roll anything bigger than a 1.
Yep, and I could just hobble my way there, but everybody else has had a chance to make it to the room, get all the other clues, figure it out, and then get to the conservatory before me. Even though
I figured it out 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is sort of the great equalizer.
It helps a little that way, I think.
Yeah, and I think most games are more enjoyable with an element of chance.
Yes, you are more likely to encourage others to play. So chess is a good example then, I think, the other way. That people don't want to play chess with a grandmaster on their first try. I mean, most grandmasters would love to do that because they want to teach you what they know.
I would love
And
to.
I would love that challenge,
Yep.
right? I know that I'm nowhere near, like I'm at best 5 moves right now.
I would like to run a 100-meter race against
Usain
Bolt?
Yeah.
I would like to
I mean,
play.
he retired, but yeah.
Oh, even I don't
I
care if he
realize
retired.
he's still way quicker than I am, and I still
In
wanna
20
see-
years, he'll be still quicker than I am now.
Yeah, true.
Even if he sits on a couch for 20 years, he's going to be faster. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's so that's where you and I are of the don't like cheaters school, in that the greater challenge, win or lose, I'm getting more enjoyment because I'm going up against what is the best.
Yep.
I did watch Gary Kasparov play a online game, but with zero training in that game, other than you got 2 days, figure it out.
Yep.
Yeah, don't mess with the man is what I'm saying. Like his chess playing abilities and logic of game are sufficient. Like he didn't beat the grandmasters of this other game he was put into. It's like, I don't know, could have just been Raid Shadow Legends for all I know. But like it's something that
Yeah.
right? But like he would have no practical application of how the interactions and what the special ability, the combos, the everything. But yeah, he only barely lost on 2 and did win the other game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was going, well, he felt he was playing against a computer, so it was double bad for him, because that's
Yeah.
the only time he's ever lost chess. So he felt he was playing against a computer, so this was his chance to just like, But it was actually the subterfuge of he was actually just playing against the champions of that game.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's a cool thing to do too. Like Go and chess.
Yeah, yeah. Like those are the things. Like I just can't believe I spent 10 minutes watching basically a commercial for a video game. But I was so curious about the Gary Kasparov
Yep.
element. How cool! So
So-
we would like a game that has definitely skill needed, or skill that could be easily acquired to play.
Yes.
Games that are easy to learn but lifetime to master.
Right.
Yes. So, but I like if we're building a game, a random element.
Yeah. So one of my
At least one random element.
one of my favorite games in that realm is Magic: The Gathering.
Yes, that is where poker meets.
Chess. Poker meets chess meets. Yeah.
Because there's the randomness of the draw and the shuffle of the cards, the poker elements, and the chess is the strategy, the forethought, the planning ahead.
Yeah, it's great because you control what goes into your deck.
Mhm.
You don't control the order it comes out in. At least within the first 7 cards.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's manipulation cards that change all of that for you, but that's part of, did you put that card in your deck to begin with anyway?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then there's there's the meta game. Who are you playing against? What do you need to defend against?
Mhm.
And there are so many cards. It's very hard to.
And it also allows for the X factor of gamesmanship, right? The poker table, the multiplayer game, that like in a Clue or in a Risk or in Magic, there's a gamesmanship. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Because you just don't want them to do it, is why you're saying
Yeah.
it. But you're implying maybe a consequence to their action. You're saying like maybe, right?
And those are actually fairly useful tools in like human interaction.
Yeah.
So if you're tuning in, this is How Did You Get There, a show about thoughts, ideas, opinions, and beliefs, and so we can be critical about those thoughts, opinions, ideas, and beliefs.
But not necessarily the people that hold them. And not today. We're being critical of ourselves a little. Because we've got like 25 minutes left to put a game together.
Yeah. So the first half of this thing
We should have had some paper and pen now for this part. So we can just start.
We're recording it for posterity.
Oh, fair enough, yeah. So whoever's listening, please take notes, write this down, make a board, map, card, whatever we're talking about.
Yeah, so
Ooh, maps.
we set ourselves a challenge, sort of,
Kinda.
to make a game, and so we spent a lot of time talking about what we might mean by games and places that we might
Draw inspiration.
draw inspiration.
The types of games we might like to play.
We have each played a variety of different kinds of games, and some are social, some are private, some are synchronous, some are asynchronous.
It's the more I think about it, the number of different games I've played, it's starting to astonish me. Beer pong,
Pong.
Kerplunk,
Oh, Kerplunk, yeah.
Jenga. Like, so that's just where we're chatting.
Object manipulation games.
Object manipulation games are something we didn't touch on.
Superfection.
Right? Any of those puzzle placement games,
Hot potato. That pass the time bomb thing.
timing and hand-eye games.
Yep.
That time bomb still works.
Perfect.
Just so you know.
I love that.
From the 70s, we had this wind-up bomb, and it was like a
One
wind-up
of
hot
those
potato.
cartoonish.
Oh yes, cartoonish bomb, very much black
Yeah.
with a red fuse. But it would tick, 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 and you'd just pass it around, and when it goes clank in your hand, it still scares the hell out of me.
It's like the alligator
Yeah. Oh,
where you push the teeth.
so many
They had to
kids
buy a
won't
new
play
one.
that. Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, we actually played one right to death.
Nice.
It would not stay open anymore.
Just like, damn it!
No, you couldn't even get it set. The teeth. It was just
Aw.
the gears were just so worn down.
played so much.
So we got a replacement because you got to have one.
It's like playing forks instead of spoons.
Oof. Yeah. Spoons. Right? Or pit.
See, pit's just spoons, but with specific cards.
It's object manipulation, but it's also a card game.
A trading card. Well, not trading card game, but
A trading
a trading game using
a
cards.
game where you trade cards.
Yeah.
As a mode of playing the game.
As a mechanic of the game, there is trading of the commodities represented by the
It
cards.
is to simulate the floor of a busy stock market where you would actually physically trade certificates for actual things.
They say that, and it's in the title, but clearly it's all commodities trading.
It was.
Yeah. Just like oil. That's not something you find on the stock market.
Wasn't there an oil
Yep. Oil Tycoon, I think it was.
Oil
what it's called.
Tycoon? I think it was
A
called.
stock ticker also played in the commodities. Yeah,
Yeah.
also stock ticker.
But but I mean, you have stocks in companies that do a thing.
I guess, yes. You have your stock in the oil company, but the oil itself is traded as a commodity.
Right.
Ah, very good. Very good.
So now all those
Learning.
they're all gamified version. Oh, gamification. I'll circle back to that. Gamified versions of things that actually happen in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
So running after a gazelle.
Mm-hmm.
So we have races that are gamifying running after a gazelle
Or spreading good news.
or spreading good news or whatever. Right?
Mm-hmm. My ability to hit something with a big rock
Yep.
at distance.
My ability to hit a rock a great distance.
Mm-hmm.
Golf.
Yep. No, I was thinking shot put.
Sure.
Yep.
Also
Same
javelin.
idea. Javelin, my ability to stab a creature at great distance.
Yeah, so those are all, I mean, it's gamification of things that might be useful in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you can learn a little bit about it, and you can have a little bit of fun. You can take your mind off war and famine. And
We do it sometimes the other way, though. Like, we have a real-world skill set that we just compete as a game. Like all of the target shooting competitions.
Yep.
Aren't exclusive, say, to snipers, but they seem to perform better at these competitions. Right?
Yeah,
Nobody-
snipers don't do real well at biathlon because they're not used to the
Oh my
running
gosh!
part.
Yeah, no, yeah. Skiing
Yeah.
part. I mean, for me, it was running part, but that was just for the
'Cause-
tryouts, right? And there was no snow.
Yeah.
But don't run in cross-country boots.
No.
Bad for your feet.
Right, so
We need a game that.
we need a game that has an outcome. So I have so many thoughts about this.
Right? This
Yeah.
this is where we run into the problem is there's so many outcomes that I would like to be achieved, but none of them are gain traction over any others.
So maybe the other-
sportsmanship.
maybe
I
the-
would like to teach how to lose. This is a game that like Mad, right? Where
The object of the game is to lose all your money.
yeah. Like,
Yeah.
you lose by winning in Mad.
Yeah. If you end up with the most money,
You
you lose.
Yeah.
It's like anti-monopoly, although anti-monopoly is also a game.
Yeah, it's true. You just go around and like you collect some money, but then you have to give.
I think it is like that.
Probably.
Yeah, so we could sometimes. So I have looked a little bit into the mechanics of game design,
Okay.
and some of it has to do with what are the game manipulation elements? Like, is it resource allocation / worker placement? Is it dice? Is it cards? Is it maps?
Right. So not the computer program, but the board game of life. Well, it's an Outrun game of life.
Yeah.
Weird thing, but cool.
Yeah.
In its own separate instance. But the Spinner board game one, awesome.
Random number generator.
Random number generator, optional paths within the map.
Yeah, so there is some element of human choice.
Yeah. But definitely
You get
wanted
what you,
or unwanted, things happen to you.
yeah,
Yeah.
at random.
Yes. And based partly on the choice you made by the path you took, and based partly at the randomness that life presents.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a great.
It's actually like a pretty good tool.
Yeah,
A little.
it's they've changed the rules since I learned it as a kid.
Yes. They
Uh,
made it like friendlier, kind of.
sort of.
Kind of.
Except when you can steal somebody else's job.
That one's.
That still bothers me.
That's a little weird.
You run it on a credit card now
Yeah.
instead of cash.
Yeah. Also weird. Maybe the banks bought
Crypto.
Milton Bradley. Yeah.
Crypto life. So we need to, so if we were going to make a game, and we're under a time crunch to do so.
Do we want to make a realistic outcome game or a utopian outcome game?
Do we want to be cooperative or competitive?
I would like the flexibility of me. Okay, as a solo, I should be able to play solo.
Yeah.
And then either two-player co-op, because if solo campaign works, I can work with somebody in that same solo idea, or we can work against each other towards a randomly generated task at the other end. There's minutia of coming up with 100 different ending tasks, but then whether you have 1, 10, 12, whatever people, you could have 3 teams and a single, you could have 12 singles, you could have 6 teams of 2, 2 teams of 6.
Yeah, Mansions of Madness. No, House on Haunted Hill.
Yeah.
Right, where at the end of some number of rounds, which is kind of randomly determined a little bit.
Yep.
The end condition arrives, and you either have to finish it cooperatively or competitively.
Mm-hmm.
And so but it's the same game, and you could probably figure out a way to play that against the board itself.
The KGB game.
Oh, KGB, yeah.
So this was like another clue type game where you have to scout around the map and find the secret formula and then sneak your way off with the secret formula. Everyone's working against each other, but it always seems that once someone has identified you as the person with the secret formula, there's suddenly a co-op mode that goes without saying that they're coming to get you. All of them, each and every one of them. So something like that maybe, that like you're risking getting ganged up on just by your attempt to win.
Yep.
Like
Everybody's trying to win.
but as soon as someone has the potential, everyone's going after that guy.
Exactly.
So something like that appeals to me greatly, because there's a whole lot of randomness involved, like the placement of the things, the ability to move around the board, the guard that catches you in the room and knocks you out for a round, and you have to leave that tile you just got. All those things.
Yeah. I forgot about that game. That's a good game.
So that gives us all kinds of dimensions. We could add boards. We could draw it on paper. We could computerify that, right? A game like that. I think then what we should look for is the win. What is the win? Welcome to the game of anarchy, where we're able to take apart society in a safe way, so that each part that we create for ourselves still relies on the other part to operate, but throughout the game must attain some level of self-sufficiency.
Oh, that's actually really clever.
Right?
That's got a lot of great things I love in it. So, imagine we have.
Yeah, I wasn't actually just throwing out there because I'm an anarchist. It actually filtered
no,
in there as like
yeah.
it's a way to explore an idea that may or may not be dangerous, like Monopoly.
Oh man. And
But it
what you
teaches
do.
co-op or against. It has all of those elements built
So
in.
let's make it.
maybe.
Let's put this on a new planet.
Okay. Yeah.
But in not the initial colonization of the planet, but like we have a new planet, so it's not Earth. So we have an arbitrary map, and there are zones already established that are all under doing whatever whatever kind of government-y thing that they do, and the role of this is to build successful anarchy, right? and whatever that means.
Whatever, yeah.
Right. So I mean, it would mean that in general, the people in the society thrive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so population does not explode. Population does not crumble.
Correct.
It might grow a little bit. It might not, but it doesn't. It doesn't grow exponentially. It doesn't fall off exponentially.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People aren't suffering unnecessary hardships.
There
or
it is.
whatever.
The social mechanisms can't deteriorate. Your health capability can't deteriorate.
All of the same things that we claim we societally want from
Any system.
any system, and we do this. But the things that an anarchist society can do are limited, and you could do some things that sort of push against it, right? So you can make the choices.
Well, for example, any leader in existence at the start of the game would push back against a society that wants no leader.
Yeah,
So that's your obstacle number one in game.
yeah.
You-
So
you,
then,
you need to convince your population that this leader or any leader is a leader that is not needed.
and I think that if this might be a good one. I think there needs to be then environmental cards,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
right? So earthquakes happen, not all the time,
Nope.
but you know.
So this is a game that with so much, like I don't want to make a computer game, but it would be enriched by the true randomness and amount of variation that's easily contained in a computer program versus the number of cards I need so that one of them says earthquake. In a fair sampling, right? That's the only, but like even though I only have a 24 card catastrophe deck, maybe most of those catastrophes are just, you know, hole in the ozone, and then we can try and come up with another global idea of we don't need CFCs, right? Very hard to do with the anarchists because there's no one in charge to say everyone do this. It's a very direct democracy situation that you're shooting towards at the end of the game. So the closer you get to the end, the harder it becomes to manage because there's
Yep.
zero authority. Right?
Exactly. And then once we got this all, I'm just sort of thinking ahead from
Sure,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
commercialization point of view. Then we introduced the Imperial expansion,
See,
ironically named.
but I would absolutely like all the way
So then
each expansion after.
So then you can play the whole game again, where you are team democracy,
Mm-hmm.
and so you're doing your part for democracy. I'm doing my part for democracy. We have to play by democracy rules to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
We can do democratic capitalism, for example. We could do imperialist.
The Democratic Empire of Canada is a thing
Sure.
I espouse, but whether that's a thing that's real
Doesn't
matter. But
Doesn't matter for
outcome,
this.
It's an outcome we could put into the game, though, right? Who wants to vote to join Canada? Come on, Djibouti, be part of Canada.
Right. So you could play this as you could play this as a solo.
Mm-hmm.
You could play this as cooperative, or ultimately with enough planning ahead and a planet and some planet cards and some event cards and some basically natural resource cards.
Mm-hmm.
You could actually play team versus team. So it could be anarchy versus
I mean, really, we just blow up the Spanish Civil War and drop it on a planet,
yeah.
right? There's going to be a commie faction, a socialist faction, a nationalist faction, just a straight-up democratic faction, the anarchy faction, all trying to prove to people through superior firepower in these instances, but not necessarily in game.
I'd very much like to not have a superior firepower game.
Right? So that would be maybe that's like you could use firepower, but
There's a cost.
there's a global penance for that. Like you need 100 points to claim your victory over the game, but you lose 10 every time you call up the military.
Yeah.
Mechanically
you can-
stupid, but the idea sounds.
You could still win the game militarily, but you have to have so much in the bank.
Right? You'd have to have like 99, use your military, and then find the other 11 points somewhere.
Right.
So you can't end game with military victory because it costs you the 10 points, and you'd already have one if you're already over 100.
Yeah. But unless you have it at the end of the turn. But
Again,
at the end-
points calculation at turn end.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. So you'd have to,
So
earn
if at the-
more than the 10 you spent on your military.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to have military superiority as a method, ideally you would have to, for your long-term sustainability, you'd want that to always yield more than you spend.
Because
and it does, and it rarely does.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's a mechanic from Sun Tzu. If you're going to engage a war, it is a matter for your whole nation, because your whole nation will be affected if you engage in war.
Yep.
Like page 1.
It's a quick, insightful.
I mean, if you just read the pamphlet without editorials, yeah, you could get her done in an hour and just be like, oh, that makes so much sense. No wonder they try to apply it to so many other things. I'm not sure how you're going to justify putting spies in business, but
they do it.
They do.
Absolutely, they do.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that could actually work.
It's not a bad game idea. And we got time. We can work on it more yet. So yeah, I mean, then you could even you could even have many of similar starting factions. Like I don't want to be the green guys. I don't want to always be Planet Health team. Cool. No, everybody's actually going to be a capitalist because that's all the team we felt like playing with today. But we still need to. It doesn't even. We'll call it Anarchy the game because that maybe is the short track to winning the game. And then people would challenge themselves by like, oh, I bet I can absolutely beat this game as a capitalist.
Yeah.
And those would be our expansion packs, right? Like when the new expansion comes out for your original fee and postage. Because I don't want to buy the puzzle. This is like, have you seen this clip? So I'm selling puzzles, and they're really cool puzzles. So I'm going to say, hey, you want this puzzle? You'd be like, yeah, I love puzzles. And you open it up, and it says 1,000 pieces on the outside, but there's 600 in there, right?
Oh.
And a piece of paper, and then like a large sort of rough shape that kind of looks like part of the puzzle, maybe. And you'll be like, there's only 600 pieces and this piece of paper. Well, that's kind of a placeholder for a thing. It's part of the puzzle in the future. That's coming. That'll be coming to you soon. But this other block over here, we haven't quite figured out what that part of the puzzle really is. But there's going to be some open bits on this side. So then, in the future, I can sell you another 200 pieces to put onto that puzzle to make it 1,200 pieces. But we don't have the first 1,000 done yet, but we're already thinking about the 200 that come after.
Yeah.
So I don't want to sell that game. That's not the game I want to sell.
No,
But I want to be able to sell the 200 pieces after.
For Christmas a couple of years ago, I got Gloomhaven, or Hernia Haven as I like to call it, because it is
a big,
like
heavy book.
It is like 40 pounds of cardboard in a box, and the box is no kidding,
Nice.
45 by
You're carrying a battery around.
45 by 30 by 30 centimeters,
and it's one of the
and it's
not ergo lift.
It's just a big
Box.
cuboid. It's a box, and it's heavy. And it's all cardboard cards, and there's a little bit of plastic, little stands for everything, and it's basically D&D with quests, but the mechanic that all the bad guys there are rules for moving the bad guys towards you typically, and there are cards that modify their behavior.
Cool.
And there are cards that you can choose. You can actually choose which cards to play in which order, but eventually they become used, and then you have to rest to get them back.
Yeah.
But every time you rest, you lose a card, and then there's a randomized shuffled deck of modifiers for your actions. Right?
Fair.
So the game mechanic is written in the book, and it does the thing, and it's great, and it is self-contained, and they have an expansion now that is like twice the size.
So you now have 120 pounds worth of game.
I don't.
So we want to kind of.
Nick is getting the.
But
getting
we
the
would
expansion.
care not to necessarily encumber our players that way.
Yeah, but
either.
you never have to get the expansion.
Do you ever? I guess. Yeah.
Right?
For our, so we have to design ours more like. The rule book costs this much.
Yeah.
And then if you want the pre-made cards or whatever, if you're snappy and you're a graphic designer, you probably make better cards than I could design. But these are the things you would print on your card.
Oh, like early editions of.
Like Yahtzee, where they just give you the
Cards
rules.
Against
and then-
Humanity.
Yeah.
Like, here's the stuff. Print it yourself.
Yep. Or even Yahtzee or Crib before people bothered to make a crib board.
Yep.
We just arbitrarily decided whatever 121 points, and you write them down as you go.
Yeah. So we used to play this weird game. It was called Crazy Eights.
Yes.
And right,
Uno!
so eights were wild, and twos you got to pick up two. And if you play a 4, it goes the other direction. Or
Jack is skip a turn.
Jack is skip a turn. Oh, Uno.
Yeah.
So when they said, can you play Uno? I was like, I've never played Uno.
I know. That's what I said too. And then they're like, you do this, and I'm
Oh, we're playing Crazy Eights.
we're
Gotcha.
playing Crazy Eights with a hint of rummy because I
Yeah.
can do runs instead of just sets.
Yeah, so I played Squash 'em the other day.
Hmm.
Meaning a month, I don't know, 2 years ago. And
The Muggle struggle is real.
I'm like, Squash 'em. What a terrible name. So I get these cards, and I can move my marble around the track based on the value on the card.
I'm sorry.
And I have to get it into the home row. Oh, it's sorry, but with cards instead of dice.
I was like, wait a minute, I know this game.
Yep.
Pop a magic bubble.
But 8 people can play, and you can play in teams, and it's actually kind of a cool game.
Yeah, but
And I've only ever seen homemade versions of it. Yeah.
Crokinole.
Crokinole.
Very much. I've never seen a professional built one.
Oh, I have. It's terrible. It was on
Oh, it's probably final or something.
Canadian Tire used to sell them, and on one side it was that, and the
Oh,
other
we
side
had
was,
that one. No, I guess I never remembered there was an actual Crokinole side. We always just used the pool and hockey game side.
Yeah. But the other side of the board was Crokinole. But we didn't have to because we had a proper homemade Crokinole bowl.
Yeah.
Proper.
Whew. Proper. Yeah, the real one.
In-house curling.
Yes.
Oh,
Strawberry.
my knuckles.
Did you really?
No, just
thinking about the flicks.
the flicks. Grandma was so good at that.
Scary deadly. But she didn't have video games. We had ColecoVision. So that's where this skill went instead of this skill.
Merlin.
Sorry, this skill instead of this skill.
Merlin.
Yes!
Which you spend a lot of time using like a telephone.
Yeah. 328-6196.
Yep.
Hello.
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 1950s? Can I have my shoe phone back?
I'd like to ring it around there.
Ooh, yeah, so we could actually do this with
A legitimate idea. So in the future, look for this game. We'll be starting the Kickstarter in about 6 months.
Yeah, we could actually do that. We'll need a little more thinking behind it. We'll have to throw the parts together. I think that we could manage I think there will be worker placement, as it were.
Resource management. I count workers as resources.
Yeah.
I know the HR people hate it when I call it that, but I'm like, of the renewable resources, humans are abundant.
Well, so there's So one of the, I think that so it is a resource management issue in a lot of ways, but I think worker placement is as opposed to resource allocation.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So there's trees over here and there's water over here. How many people are you going to dedicate to trees? How many people are going to dedicate to water?
Yeah, see, yeah,
Right,
yeah.
and that's worker placement versus
resource management, acquisition.
Once I've placed those people there, I end up with
Then
trees and water and rocks and trees and water and rocks and right?
Yeah. I've
And
driven
then I
up
have to
north.
and I have to do things,
Mhm.
right? So then I've got those people out there, but I've kept some people behind to build the things that I need to build.
Like the place for those people to sleep.
Right. So there's
The thing-
resources versus people because the trees don't harvest themselves.
So it's a good. We're scheduling out a nice 4-hour game.
Yep.
So that we can start from 0-ish. Well, I think we could advance our society along beyond water and trees, but the point is well made. We can turn it into computer chips and whatever just to put us in a place of
Yeah.
deliberate choices that would be made at that time.
Yeah.
Whatever technology.
Arbitrary people
Let's
doing things.
steampunk this thing.
Sure.
Because then it's technology that people can't say that didn't come first. We can just arbitrarily
I've played
assign-
Civilization.
Yeah, the temporalness sometimes bugs me.
Yeah. So we could do that. So we have so there'll be some kind of mechanic where we have to allocate the people to do the stuff, but the method of allocation has to be anarchic.
So there was a cool feature. So Humankind is a game that kind of competes with Civilization.
Yeah.
And a very cool feature in the Humankind to, like, so in Civilization, clearly if you just lead technology, you win the game. Done.
Unless you're playing the old version of Civilization 3, where there's a bug because there's not enough room to keep track of
if you get too far ahead and
Gandhi's
Angry Gandhi.
peacefulness.
Yeah.
So if he gets peaceful -1, it actually wraps around to peaceful 255, which is the angriest, and he just nukes you.
Yeah.
Which is ironic.
So, but in the humankind, if you move to the next technology level, it reduces the cost of everyone else to do so.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, like, hey, we invented steam engines. Well, now everyone's like, steam engines, cheap. Let's go. Bam. Right? Because,
You've spent all the money to do it.
yeah. So it sort of, it's still advantage to be first on the block, but it's not such a huge advantage because others have still done their other research and now have a leg up on your research.
We should have built the game of kickstarting a game.
The game on how to build a game.
Yeah.
We'll do that one first, and if that one works, then we can use that model to create other
And that money.
games. Well, yeah. The game builder game. That actually is almost more useful, but then I actually feel like I should study some game theory before I do that, because
Yeah.
maybe I want to, like, have a message or whatever.
Yeah. So game theory has a couple of different meanings.
Yeah,
Right.
like to me, it's the skill set training and the psychological evaluation that I would find in the game theory.
But also in game theory is things like zero-sum games.
yes, well, yes,
Like where somebody wins and somebody loses, zero-sum game.
yeah,
There are synergistic games where everyone wins
or everyone loses.
or everyone loses. Right? There's
I'm okay with that.
asymmetric games.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, the theory behind the outcome.
Yeah, so Root is an amazing game where you play various different woodland creatures, and you have your own wind condition that is independent of everyone else's wind condition,
Mm-hmm.
and you have different game mechanic. You all play in the same board, you all play in the same space. Your plays affect other people's plays, but the things that you can do are different than the things other people can do because it's asymmetric.
But also, that would lend itself to the outside of the game gamesmanship. Dude, I can see your butterflyness really needs this tree twig, and I can tell you, I'm not going to make that happen unless.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's right, and I think that's a skill that we send our kids to school for, is how to negotiate with other kids or peers or people in the same realms. And I think games could help with that, our abilities to negotiate fairly, or at least to scout out unfair negotiation tactics.
Yeah.
Right? If I'm the anarchist and I'm trying to convince you, the capitalist player, you and I both like democracy, right? We both think that's really important.
I prefer my deep fried.
but I mean, my worker commune here, we could definitely supply you some goods at a fair price.
Well, and there would have to be some of that.
Well, definitely.
Like, because there's your anarcho-syndicalist commune, and you're doing your thing.
Like, so our goods are high quality, but our technology is slow to evolve.
Right.
Yeah.
But over on the other side of the hill, where the giants live, they've got their machines and their capitalism, and they got some people who are not very happy with capitalism, but they got some people who are very happy with capitalism. How do you deal with them? Right? So those are game decisions you'd have to make.
Ooh, immigration, because we're doing planetary.
Sure.
And that can be like just a percentage of your disenfranchised, and then again, the computer thing handled this more easily. But if you're not scared of a bit of map and graphing like we used to do for a game like D-Day, any of the Avalon Hill bookshelf games, people, you would totally appreciate that you put that on a computer. You can actually get a couple games done in a couple hours, as opposed to your first hour is setting up the game.
The game setup is the thing that takes the time.
Yeah. So that's an obstacle we'll try and overcome. I think we have to wind her down.
I don't think we developed a whole game, but we did sort of touch on the ideas.
I think we've come up with a base for a game.
Yeah, and I do think that it is right within the general scope of the kinds of things that we care about on this show, which is thinking critically about stuff. And I think that in order to think truly critically about, let's say, ways of running a planet,
Yeah.
I think that you need, if you want to make a game of it, you really have to sit down and really think about what that actually means when you actually employ it.
The final expansion is the global economy. Because that's a hard thing to negotiate. So, like, after you've done the imperial expansion, the capital expansion, after your anarchist base game, globalism. Because you can make a global thing work without everybody being on the same team, but try and get everybody on the same team.
Yeah.
Harder game still. Harder game.
Yeah. So it's got levels. It's got layers, like an onion or an ogre or a parfait. Everybody loves parfait.
We might have to tie up our non-radio Sundays to work on this.
Oh no!
I know it's like writing a screenplay. We'll have to like go on a
Let's have
2-week
to
road trip and,
do it.
and talk to other people
Yeah.
so that we can get our dumb ideas out there. I think we're done. I think
So
he's trying
thanks
to cut us off.
So thanks for tuning in. We'll be back in a fortnight.
Steven,
Jeff,
how did you get there? At HTYGTYQL. Please follow.
and if there's anything you want to talk about, send us a message.